Rick was tracking it. He's been thinking about this and working on this for 15 years before the sentencing. He read about it in a Texas magazine, and he was intrigued just by the story of a town that loved this guy that confessed to the murder, and that it looked like he wasn't going to be, going to prison because everybody loved him so much. And so he wanted to go, and he went and saw the trial, and obviously it didn't turn out that way. And he was just very moved by the story, and he wanted to make a movie about it. He wanted to make it 15 years ago when this all happened, but couldn't get the financing for it, couldn't get it done. So he sort of put it on the shelf and let it collect dust. And then I was talking to him about, trying to get School of Rock 2 up and going. And we're trying to work on that. And got with Mike White, and he was the writer of School of Rock 1. And we didn't want to do it unless it was better than the first one. And we just couldn't really crack the code on what it was going to be about. And we all just sort of were slowly walking away from it, going, gosh, we tried. We gave it the old college try. And then Rick said, well, wait a second, Jack, before you go, I got this other script that's collected some dust that I would really love to do right now. I think you'd be great as the lead character. And I said, let me read that thing. And then I was like, oh, man, that's not School of Rock 2. That's a horse of a different color there. And he said, yeah. And then I said, all right, man, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like School of Rock was completely in your sweet spot.
Yeah.
This one feels like more of a stretch for you. I mean, is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. I mean, School of Rock was written for me. Mike White and I had worked together before on Orange County, and we were friends, and he said, I want to write a movie for you. And I said, yeah, let's do this. And he wrote that with my strengths in mind. This one obviously wasn't written for me. He just wrote this about a real guy. And it was a stretch. I think that was why I enjoyed doing it so much, though, because I'm really sick of just playing myself in movies. So it's fun to put on a different costume, make a mask, and I just found it easier to go to some emotional places when I was pretending to be somebody else. Makes it a little easier.
Isn't that what acting's all about?
I guess so. Yeah. That's what it is. Now I see.
So you haven't played too many real people before, I don't think. I mean,
yeah,
there was Paul McCartney in Walk Hard for a scene or two.
Yeah, Paul McCartney. I played loosely based on a couple of real people, Bird Watcher and The Big Year. I always got to be careful because I almost say the year one, the big year in year one. But yeah, it's not very often that I play real people.
So you met the real Bernie early in the process?
Yeah, before we started shooting, Rick said, we could go to the prison. Do you want to? And I was like, yeah, I want to. Let's go. And we got the grand tour, the maximum security prison, and got to spend a couple hours with the man himself. That was very helpful.
In what way?
Well, I was worried about, when you're playing someone who's alive and real, if I didn't meet him and get his blessing, then I'd be thinking about it every time we were shooting. I'd be in the back of my mind, I'd be thinking, oh God, what's going to happen when he sees this? He's gonna say I didn't get it right or something, So just to put my own mind at ease, I wanted to meet him and let him know, we're just going to be trying to tell it like it really happened. We're not trying to make a mockery of your real life story. And no, did we? I hope we did. But and just get some hints and asking some questions. I wanted to ask him, why didn't you just leave? If it was so bad, why didn't you get out of there before you went crazy and killed her? And what I got from it was, it wasn't as simple as that, and it was a lot like a marriage in a way that's gone bad, and yet you hear about once in a while you hear about a marriage that's gone bad and ends badly that way, ends in murder, and you always say, why didn't she just leave if she was getting abused by this guy? Why'd she kill him? And there's a codependency there. After a while, you can't just leave just because it's bad.
Were there any things about him in particular that surprised you when you sat down with him?
Just, I already knew from the script that he was going to be a nice guy, but I was still surprised by how sweet and nice he was. So likable. Sit down with him. I can see why everybody in town loved you. You're a lovable guy. And in a way, I think that was his undoing. He was too sweet. He was so nice that you treat a real nice. When he was getting treated badly, he would never say, "Ah, fuck you," He would just slowly take it, and the resentment built up over time, and he snapped.
Yeah, the scene where he does snap and where he shoots her is certainly one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Not just because she had it coming, but also for that wonderful moment afterwards when she's lying on the floor of the garage and you come running over and say, "Marjorie, are you all right?" I mean, it must be odd to do things that you know are going to get laughs while at the same time you're dealing with something that's not funny.
Yeah, it's this tricky little scene. Strange combination of, I wasn't really, going for laughs, but I was aware that, this is pretty strange. But, I've never experienced that where you aren't aware of what you're doing, but that's what I was trying to go for. So that was a tricky little dance to do. And then, obviously, it's very emotional after he realizes what he's done. It's a heavy scene, man. Yeah. You circle that kind of scene on the calendar and you go, okay, that's a big one. Gotta mentally prepare for that one in advance.
Did you feel comfortable that day? I mean, did you feel like you got it?
Yeah, felt like we did pretty good.
So what were the other scenes that you did?
Thank you.
What were the other scenes you would have circled on your calendar?
Well, obviously, the confession when he gets caught, and well, a big one for me was right after the murder, the 76 trombones. I wanted to get that dance right. Some tricky moves, I noticed. But I've got some musical theater in my repertoire. When I was in high school, I did some musical theater. Little Pippin. You ever see Pippin? Bob Fosse masterpiece. Yeah.
I know of it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah. So I wasn't a total stranger to that world.
But you were a total stranger to gospel music, right? I mean, I've seen you sort of preach the gospel of rock and roll, but
yeah.
But was that was that easy to get into it?
No, it took a lot of listening to music I'd never heard before. But there's some good jams in there. I ended up liking gospel. I had fun with those songs. Some catchy tunes. Passionate songs, singing about the Lord. Yeah. And got to hear a whole new world of music. I was thinking about maybe putting out a gospel album. Tenacious D. Born Again Revival.
So Shirley had, obviously has lots of musical theater in her. Was she watching and giving you tips in those scenes?
She approved. She liked my chops. She said that she has an idea that we could turn this into a real dark musical for Broadway, a little limited Broadway run. Musical, which I was all for. I think that'd be class.